Welcome to the Bardic Arts. This channel is for exploring storytelling in music and performance and what that means in our lives. The reason that I'm feeling inspired to do this and make this a whole channel is because I got to experience some really amazing bardic expression this past fall. I was in Ireland. I went with a group of people walking across Ireland from coast to coast on this really old trail that the route dates back to the Bronze Age. Obviously, there's going to be little changes along the way, especially as there's, private property and roads and things in the way. So you have to sort of wiggle around to make your way. But it starts on the east coast of Ireland and then walks all the way west, ending at Crowpatrick, which is their most sacred mountain. What was really cool is that there were a couple people on the trip who knew a bunch of the lore of the land. So our trip leader, Jeremy, knew a bunch of stories, and he also had a harmonium and would sing songs in Irish with us, and often put us, if we were doing this in the morning, let's say, get us into this sort of like trance state with these songs where we'd be singing and then you get into the groove of it and you start harmonizing and just like kind of bathing in the sound. And also another person who was walking with us, Lissa, knew a lot of stories and also poems and songs. Some of them were traditional Irish, some of them were more modern, but she would speak them as they felt relevant. And, we'd be walking along and there would be a feature of the landscape, like a river or maybe a sacred well or a hill. And she would know the story of that particular place. And so as we're walking, she'd be telling us about that place, maybe how it came to be, or the sort of mythological figures that had a lot to do with that place. And then she would include us in the story as well. So she's weaving us into the landscape as we're walking and weaving the landscape into us. In most of the performance arts that we engage in right now in the modern world, I feel like there's definitely that fourth wall between the performer and the audience. And while that has its own function, it's really wonderful to be in a space where the teller of the tale or the singer of the song is very aware of you as an audience member and maybe is like, bringing certain aspects of the tale to your attention because they know it might be helpful for you. And maybe bringing in aspects of you into the story, whether it's our personality or things that we've experienced together, it livens up the story and it gives it new relevance. And as we walked along, I also found myself, as we walked, there's this pace, and the stories that Lissa was telling would end up having this cadence that sort of went with the walking that made even storytelling feel a little bit more like singing. And then if I was walking alone, I would feel that rhythm coming through my body as well. And I would maybe start speaking what I was seeing or singing what I was seeing and what I was feeling. And these songs would arise. And then maybe I'd catch up to the group or later that day or whenever the song felt ready, I would share it with the group and then have the sort of feedback of that group appreciating it and them liking it made me want to do more. And then the next day I would be even more engaged with like, oh, what am I feeling? What am I experiencing? What's around me? And it gave me that sort of like artist's lens or bardic lens that was like, how can I take what I'm being given by life and turn it into something beautiful, some art that I can then give to my friends and maybe even give back to the universe. Yeah, on the last day, there was a really wonderful moment of Lissa, who was way, way ahead of us because she's a really, really fast hiker. She caught a song on the way up Crowpatrick, and we call it catching a song when it's like, you didn't exactly write the song. It doesn't feel like that. It feels like the song was coming through, on the wind or on the energy or whatever. And like, you happen to be the vessel to bring the song out into the material world. So that this song came to her and she sent it to us. We had this like group WhatsApp chat. And the song itself had all of this energy, this like upwards moving, like vital energy in it. And so we're several miles behind her, listening to her song, and then singing it and learning it and singing it with each other, and then walking with that energy. So it's like this loop was created where like the energy from up here is coming back to us and bringing us back up to that point. And it was both incredible and it felt so natural. It felt like this is something that we've been doing for thousands of years, and that would also be really helpful for us to do more in this day and age. When you engage in this sort of bardic practice, you're becoming more connected with yourself, with the environment around you, and with the people around you. It is naturally a connective practice. And we've got a lot of division energy going on right now. And we've also got a lot of people who feel really, really separate from nature and almost know about it only theoretically. So I think the more that we can do to connect really intentionally to the actual world around us, into our actual lived experience, and turn that into something beautiful, the more we have a chance at ending up with a culture that feels good and generative and won't end up just thoughtlessly destroying the planet. So I also want to engage in this practice because for most of my life, besides the sort of like very structured, like taking piano lessons or like being in band, when I've done creative things that are like of my own volition, it's mostly been visual art. And it's been visual art that's very like, doesn't necessarily have to say much about me. I'm sure it does anyway, but it was something that I could kind of very safely hide behind. And with things that have words and music, it feels a lot more like I have to be a lot more honest about what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling. And I think that that's a good practice for me, and probably a good practice for a lot of women, because for a long time, we've been told and we've been shown that it's not safe to express our opinions. But I'd like to create a world where it is more safe to do that and more normal. So I'm going to try to put that into practice. Yeah, so I hope that all made sense. I'm obviously keeping this video really casual because part of the process of being seen for me means not over preparing, because I will spend all my time preparing and never do the thing. So right now, I'm not reading off a script, and maybe I didn't make perfect sense or make the perfect points, but that's actually also part of the practice. So maybe we can throw extemporaneous speaking in there with the bardic thing. But for now, glad you're here. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.